Boy, has a lot changed since last Tuesday. Welcome to Ask MandR, episode 262. The series wants to hear your question. If you have a question for next week's episode, leave it down in the comment section below. Like while you're at it. And this week, we're talking about Rex being locked behind a $650 paywall, potentially 2024 battle packs, and more. But let's get into it with our first question from Fritz, who says, have you ever found Lego sets beneath the shelves at Walmart or Target? Sometimes I find them when they come up at the register. They're deeply discounted. So it sounds like Fritz is checking under those shelves all the time. Personally, I have never once looked under the bottom shelf of a Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, or otherwise to see if someone has stashed away a Lego set underneath there. But hot tip for those of you deal hunters or just people looking for retired Lego sets in general, you might get lucky. I mean, the chances are very low, but if you take a peek, I think you can just lift up the shelves at a Target or Walmart, like the bottom one, and there could be things under there that other people have stashed away, hoping to get it on sale later. So definitely take a look under there. You might be able to find something cool. Nachos Brother says, would you rather always have stickers for the quotes on dioramas or always have stickers for plaques in UCS sets? The obvious answer here is the more expensive set should get the more premium thing. Both of them should be printed though, obviously. But if it's one or the other, UCS sets should be getting the printed plaques, and they are this year, actually. I think we've kind of forgotten about this. We haven't had a UCS set revealed this year. It should start with the X-Wing, if not the Venator. Printed UCS plaques are coming, boys. Lego Star Wars announced this like a year ago. Matt says, have you ever stolen any Lego ever? No, but if they keep increasing their prices, I might be more inclined to do so. Tilo says, why does Lego Star Wars release sets based off early episodes of shows? Example, Boba's Palace, Pirate Fighter, Tusken Raider Camp, instead of waiting to release big moments in the season's finale after the show finishes. I think that's just what Disney is basically giving them as far as concept art and storylines that Lego is basically allowed to know that far ahead of time, and usually it's pretty inconsequential stuff, unfortunately. So with like the Darth Vader Obi-Wan duel, we didn't get the cooler scene of the two. We got the lamer scene of the two, in most people's opinion. That's probably just because that's the only one that Disney let them know about. They didn't let them know about the final duel between the two of them in the show. But I don't think it's a big problem that they're making sets based off earlier scenes and not later scenes, because they can always go and make sets based off later scenes later on. I think the bigger issue by far is sets like the Spider Tank, where the set is just flat out incomplete, missing the mechanical Grievous type droid, missing Grogu's pram, and then the thing to fit Din Djarin in. Like, those are three things that are pretty crucial to that scene, and as far as a playset for children, would really complete the experience as well. So I'm a little less worried about what exactly they're making sets on and more exactly like the completeness of it and what's missing or what ends up being missing from those sorts of things. Because they can always go and do Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan again on that second scene, but the chances they're gonna make another Spider Tank with the other things from that scene are like nil. It's just not happening. So that's what really gets me down the most, is when sets come out incomplete, because chances are it's not getting completed. Brave Sir Robin says, what's going to happen to all the unreleased Temple of Doom sets? Did they even make any? And if so, are they going to show up on the aftermarket? So I had heard that the factory ran for at least a day with those sets. That's just kind of out there, apparently. I don't know if it's true or not, though, because it's like third or fourth hand information to me. But there's a chance there are some of them sealed, sitting around in a warehouse somewhere. This happened with the Santa Claus set that they canceled. This did happen with the Osprey, but the Osprey got a little further along. That one actually ended up in stores. So there's a chance, but we haven't seen anything yet, and the sets have officially released. I don't know how long that sort of thing usually takes. Nick the Brickster says, what's your opinion on LEGO doing a 332nd battle pack? Surely LEGO should have either done a 212th or Shock Trooper battle pack to help fill out your ATT or gunship coming in the summer, or do a completely new Legion. Also potentially $30 for a battle pack. Well, hey, the File First battle pack was $30 and it was probably the best selling LEGO set ever. $30 for a battle pack to LEGO is nothing now, unfortunately. That's just reality, so it sucks. It will reflect poorly in my review, but there is nothing we can do about that at this point. We have made ourselves very clear that we will pay anything. It sucks. So if you watched me over the last couple years, one of the most consistent questions that I feel like I've gotten on this show is, will LEGO do a 332nd battle pack? And I obviously don't pick it every time I see it, but my answer to it every time is, no, they're not doing a 332nd battle pack. It's not happening. And no, I don't want them to, because I think it's already in a $40 set. It's already reasonably cheap to get a few if you want a few. I mean, yeah, I do agree that getting one in a $40 set doesn't make it army buildable. It's not. but it's also cheap enough that you can just get them if you want them. They were like $10 to $15 for a long time during the set's availability. And I also look at it and think, like you said, do other legions that you haven't done. There's plenty. The Wolfpack, regular clone. A lot of people are wondering what regular clone troopers are. I bet it's going to be next year. It's got to be. It's just been so long. Obviously, a lot of people wanted a 2/12 battle pack. I'm very happy it's not a 2/12 battle pack because getting more of those clones in my life would ruin it.
Julian.
As much as it's not something that I thought LEGO would do, nor is it something that I personally wanted, I do think it's actually a really good thing because it's what people wanted. It's what I saw a lot of comments about. And if that's what people want, it is ultimately what LEGO should do. If it's what the buzz is about, that's what they should be making. And so a 332nd battle pack, it is. I think the other reason a 332nd battle pack exists is kind of obvious, and it's not necessarily just because people wanted it. It's because the Ahsoka show is coming out. And obviously it's her clone legion, and not necessarily that they'll show up like in the show, but to have something tangentially related to her available on shelves just makes all the sense in the world. Plus, it's an opportunity to throw in a Captain Vaughn at $25, $27, or $30, however much the set ends up being. So I'm probably going to buy 2 or 3 of this set max for my personal collection. I already have all the 332nd clones I want. They also have the nicer helmets. These new ones are going to have the ugly helmet holes, and there's a pretty good chance that the print on these is going to be not as good as what we saw in 2020. LEGO has shown that these newer Clone Trooper prints on these newer helmets, because of the holes and the new mold that they made for it, it's not that good. They have some issues, and you can see it on all of them, even if you're not willing to admit it. It's there. I do worry about that. It's going to be a huge quality issue for them going forward, and that's why I'm such a big advocate for them getting rid of the holes for characters that don't need the holes, like these beautiful 332nd troopers, because the new ones are going to be the runts of the litter.
Every little garment and weapon and accessory is has to be perfect.
But to stop myself from continuing to run on, it's a good thing. For people that don't mind the helmet holes, congratulations, you got a 332nd battle pack.
Has to be perfect.
Brickanic Studios says, in your opinion, would you prefer to have the rumored Phase 2 Captain Rex in a larger set or stay in the Swamp Speeder? So again, this was asked before all the rumors got a little bit more solidified, but Captain Rex is said to be in the $650 Venator, so he won't be in the $25, $30 Swamp Speeder. Thus, the figure will be locked behind that $650 paywall, which of course, if we go back to what LEGO Star Wars designers said after releasing the gunship, they said it's unfair to have highly sought after minifigures in expensive sets because some people just can't afford it. And this is a perfect example of what they were talking about. Some people definitely cannot afford $650 for a LEGO set. Now, there are plenty of people that can and will be buying this set and will be very excited to get their Phase 2 Rex because of that. And it is a great time for them, right? Obviously, if you're in that boat and you're getting a set like me, you're gonna have a good time with your Captain Rex. Now, the issue with Captain Rex specifically is that there is an existing LEGO figure and he is about $200 on the aftermarket. And so people that want him specifically don't want to pay the $200 that it costs on the aftermarket, because he wouldn't be such in-demand figure if everyone was just shelling out their $200 to get their own Rex. But also, if that was happening, it'd probably drive the price up even further. So as this new figure releases in a $650 set, you can sure as heck bet that the old figure would probably at least retain its value, if not continue to go up a little bit more, if the newer figure doesn't have those cloth pauldrons. But I see both sides of this. Obviously, myself as a collector, someone that spends a lot of money on LEGO sets, I wanted something special for my money when I was buying the Republic gunship, and we didn't get that. And I think a lot of the community was very vocal about wanting something special for their money. But you can't tell people willing and able to spend $350 on a product that you make that you aren't willing to give them something extra special for their patronage. And just because they include, for example, Phase 2 Cody in this set, doesn't mean they can't put him in another set down the line. Was Captain Rex exactly the right special thing to give people for their money for this $650 set? I think there will be a portion of the community that will definitely say no to that, and that it should have been maybe a different clone trooper that was a little bit less sought after than Captain Rex. But then again, I was out there wanting Commander Cody in the gunship, and then you could release in a cheaper set later on. But I think that's what's going to happen with this Rex. I don't think there's too much reason to worry about this figure being completely unattainable forever. Sure, you might not be able to get Captain Rex this year, but in summer of 2024, maybe he's in a $100 set, maybe it's in a $50 set, or something along those lines. Obviously, that's pure speculation, but if they're putting him in a UCS set, maybe they're putting the top tier version of him in the UCS set. I know there was mention that he'd have a print for the removal of his chip, and so maybe that print stays exclusive to the UCS set, and I'm sure like something like sidearm printing would stay exclusive to the UCS set. But then if it goes to a cheaper set a little bit later on, then he gets like the full just blue arms, much like Commander Cody has just orange arms. Maybe that's the difference that we see in a figure like that going into a cheaper set. That's kind of what I hope they do here. That's what I think is what would be fair. I mean, obviously I feel very much one way about it, that I think you should get something cool for your money. Now, the other thing that not a lot of people think about when it comes to something like this is the factory in Mexico. And I still don't know if the minifigures coming from the factory in Mexico are stolen or not. I very much lean towards the idea that they are not stolen because it's been happening for years and years and years. LEGO has said nothing about it. They've done nothing to stop it, and that's just where I'm at on it. I think that the figures from the Mexican factory, LEGO in some way, shape, or form is allowing, encouraging, and profiting off of it. They're certainly profiting off it because those figures get sold on Bricklink. But with these extra minifigures that come from the LEGO factory in Mexico, basically it's just extra supply into the market. It drives the price down of a lot of figures from UCS sets or other sets. And we can see this happen with minifigures like the Mandalorian from the UCS Razor Crest and the Mithril. Those figures would be substantially more expensive if not for the figures coming out of the Mexican LEGO factory. So if Captain Rex comes in the UCS Venator for 650 bucks, you can bet, much like pretty much every other figure from recent UCS sets, I would expect to be able to pick that figure up for $30 or $40. I wouldn't fret too much about the Rex being locked behind that $650 paywall. I've seen a lot of people worrying about it, and like I said, I see both sides to it. I obviously feel one way, but I think there's not too much reason to worry if you're on the other side of it. Techno basically wants to know what the next wave of battle packs for 2024 should be. No clone battle packs for January 2024. If I was releasing 2 battle packs in January 2024, here's what I would do. What I have seen requested a lot is separatist stuff. There's been a lot of clone stuff and it has been awesome, but the separatist stuff to go against it is a little bit lacking. I would do a droid battle pack. I don't like that I'm saying that because I feel like they include battle droids in every clone trooper set. But next year is the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars, and I had someone tell me basically 25 is a quarter of 100, and I hadn't thought of it that way. I'm like, yeah, it might actually be a big deal next year. They might do a 25th anniversary, even though they've only previously celebrated their 10th anniversary and their 20th anniversary. They might see 25 as a big deal, and so if they were gonna do a couple 25th anniversary battle packs, I would go with a droid battle pack that's very similar to the original one. I'd be bringing back that super battle droid with a slightly redesigned mold. And then the other battle pack I would do is Rebel Fleet Troopers, something that you can combine with your massive Yavin 4 Rebel base. I just think that that is a desperately needed battle pack. They already remade the original Stormtrooper battle pack, so remaking the original Rebel Trooper battle pack that was alongside that would just make sense to me. Smeagol Play says, I have troubles deciding what big LEGO set to buy. The Lion's Castle versus Rivendell versus Mos Eisley Cantina. If you're trying to buy the best looking display set right now out of those 3, it's a Rivendell. Cantina is awesome and it's like perfectly accurate to the Mos Eisley Cantina, but the Mos Eisley Cantina is not a looker necessarily. That thing's gorgeous. It's so good. So if you take my advice and grab Rivendell, I hope you enjoy it, but I could also understand you buying the Cantina since you say it's retiring soon. I like the Lion's Castle too, it's not that exciting to me versus the other 2. The other question that I got a lot this week pertaining to the Rivendell set, people wanted to know when I'm gonna review it. A lot of things have come up in the last week. As you can tell, I've been filming a lot of videos. I had a couple very late nights. I did a 4-hour live stream discussing all the leaks, which was a great moment, by the way, for the LEGO Star Wars community. That was very fun. Were the leaks cap or not cap at midnight of April 1st, going into April 2nd? Like, oh my God, I have never seen a more excited live stream chat.
I'm glad everyone's excited. Holy shit. Dude, I don't know if I've ever seen my chat go faster than this. Even this is like LegoCon, when LegoCon was like absolutely getting clowned on level of chat hype.
Hey, if you're looking for anyone to reveal the UCS Venator, I know someone whose community would be very hyped about that, just saying. It would be pretty cool to rebuild that relationship, get it, pun intended. Anyway, basically whenever I get to it, I have the Fang Fighter and TIE Interceptor coming in this week, and maybe the review will be out tomorrow, so I'm gonna do that first, obviously. Like, Rivendell, I'm like, I'll get to it. I felt bad because I saw someone that's like, I was gonna watch someone else's review, but I'm waiting for yours, and I'm like, that's so nice of you, but also, I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. Wesley wants to know what my top 3 LEGO sets I want LEGO to make would be right now. I'm kind of curious if you guys have any answers to this, let me know. But like with the Venator coming out and the Republic gunship and the Ghost, like that checks off a few boxes that have been very desired for a long time. I know the May 4th promo is supposed to be like a micro scale Death Star, but I would love to see a Death Star, as I've mentioned a lot, in like the $200 price range. I think that that is near the top of my list right now. Not because I necessarily need that myself, but I just think it'd be a really cool set for people to get. So the Death Star is probably the most reasonable of the three. My pipe dream would be a UT-AT with Galactic Marines in 2025. Please. Pretty please. Like, please. I'll throw another 2025 idea out there. Basically a Duel on Mustafar diorama that has a similar flow to this Indiana Jones diorama. Now, I think this Indiana Jones scene is so perfect for the way they set this up and like the whole flow of it. I don't quite think Mustafar would translate the exact same. I think something like this for that duel would just be so cool, where you could basically start inside and then you could be out on the lava on whatever platforms they're on, and then they can transition onto the shoreline, and then Anakin can get burnt up and Obi-Wan can walk away, and there could be some cool stuff with something like that. So I think that that's like a weird one, but it's something I definitely want. iRock says, do I think LEGO will ever do anything with the NHL? Probably not, because the NHL is the 4th biggest of the 4 sports in America. It's just not that popular compared to the others, and they don't even really do anything with the others. That being said, they did do some stuff in the past that you might find kind of interesting. It's kind of ugly, kind of not. Just depends on if you like the vibe to it or not. But yeah, probably not going to do any hockey stuff. Ewan Plush Studios says, why is your old room in the background of your diorama review thumbnails? Basically for brand recognition, because people see that as my thumbnail style. I did the different thumbnail style with the Indiana Jones sets, and it just felt kind of empty with the blank wall there. When I move into the Orlando Brickco space, I will be bringing those shelves from my house and putting them there in the backdrop anyway. If I don't do that, I would get something very similar either way, but probably just gonna do that. And it's gonna look like a very similar thumbnail to what I used to have anyway for reviews. So that's kind of why I wanted to keep that anyway, just so that it's continuous all throughout, even though when you click on the video, it ends up being a little bit of a different background. But I basically just wanted people to be able to recognize that it's my video and not someone trying to replicate the very unique thumbnail style I have of putting the box in front of the camera. Which, as ironic as it is kind of unique, because everyone basically tried to do special stuff for a long time with their review thumbnails. And then I was kind of like, you know, if the Lego box art is good enough for Lego, why don't I just use it as my thumbnail? That was literally why I started doing just boxes for the thumbnail. I was like, yeah, if Lego thinks this is good enough, it must be good enough. And it's just kind of become my style because it's so simple, but it like gets the point across, right? But I just went in Photoshop, made the base layer my old bedroom thumbnail photo of like Leia's Bouche helmet, and then I cropped out the diorama boxes, put them over the top, and then I added the white to the bottom so that we have the white table look for the thumbnail, because that just pops better, and if it's always white, it's just a nice base color, so whatever else is on it kind of pops. And so that's how I'm doing those thumbnails. But I definitely saw a lot of people talking about this, like, oh, it's his old room, but he's in his new room. This doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, it's just a little trick to clickbait you into clicking. Scott says, what's the deal with Commander Bly hype? He showed up for like 10 seconds and everyone wants a figure of him. Scott, I think you fundamentally misunderstand clone fans. Clone fans want everything and anything. And Commander Bly, even if he was only on screen for a few seconds, he falls under that umbrella. It's just fans being fans. You see something cool in a movie, even if it's just for a few seconds, and you're gonna want that thing for a long time until you get that thing. I'm sure LEGO's gonna make Commander Bly at some point, and then you don't have to see the hype anymore, I guess. Custom RR says, do you think that LEGO will still do a Palpatine's arrest set? I think 2025 is the year, my dude. All of these new rumors about a UCS Venator and a gunship and a ghost, it's gotten me pretty inspired and excited, and I think that 2025 will be very good because of this. Like, if LEGO is doing this for the Clone Wars, I think Revenge of the Sith can and will get a similar, if not ideally, better treatment, because it won't be clashing with Return of the Jedi or any other original trilogy thing in 2025. Noah Persley says, how did you react to the Zeb cameo? I was excited to see a character that looked like Zeb, that was for sure. I do the thing that I've done, I think, 2 weeks in a row now. First off, when Jar Jar's actor came up, obviously, I immediately went on Twitter and looked up his name to see if everyone else was seeing what I saw, to make sure that it's not like a character that looks similar but isn't that character. I watch all the episodes at 3 a.m. right when they come out, so I just go on Twitter and go to like latest, and just because people will be like tweeting basically live, and so I always find that kind of fun when something comes up and I'm not sure. I'll just look it up basically live. Wyatt wants to know, why are Legos more expensive than drugs? And I want to know how Wyatt knows how expensive drugs are. Hey, congratulations to the 9 of you that were the first comment on last week's video. If you enjoyed this week's video, leave a like. If you have a question for next week, leave it down in the comment section below, and I'll see you next week.